Welcome. This Campaign 2024 presentation will focus on four candidates, neither named Donald Trump nor Ron DeSantis. How can Mike Pence, Tim Scott, Nikki Haley, and Asa Hutchinson make any kind of dent in the national polls or any type of media oxygen when Trump and DeSantis are taking up most of that space? Let's first go to the 538 website, examining the national polls for the presidential primary. What you see is that Trump is in first with 49.4%, DeSantis at 25.9%, Pence at 5.9%, and Haley at 4.3%, which now brings us to Mike Pence, the delicate dance of taking credit for many items during the administration with Donald Trump while not directly criticizing him. The first material we're going to be looking at is his Twitter feed. Two videos that will be shown. When you scroll through, it shows the image that he wants to project as a leader. An initial video clip will show him from earlier this week at the University of Alabama, produced by his team. Notice the music, notice the leadership style he wants to project.
It's my honor to be here at the University of Alabama. Roll Tide! Looking out across the young people gathered here today, I know this generation will keep the flame of liberty burning bright for generations to come. If our administration proved anything, it was that when you put common sense conservative principles into practice, you advance the cause of freedom, America has. In the past 2 years, the Biden administration unleashed a tidal wave of left-wing policies that have virtually wiped out all of the progress that we've made. The good news is the American people are beginning to fight back, and a great American comeback is just around the corner. This generation may be the last line of defense for the Constitution of the United States. Your generation will be the one to save America. Thank you, Young America's Foundation. It's a great, great honor to be at University of Alabama. Roll Tide!
That brings us to a second video on his Twitter feed, being interviewed by conservative media. What types of questions is he going to encounter during his presidential run?
Joining me now is the former Vice President of the United States, Mr. Vice President Mike Pence. Thank you so much for doing this. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Brylan. It's great to be in Alabama and great to be with you.
Absolutely. Will you confirm, say, on the record that from the information that you've seen, you agree with the FBI director that the most likely origin of the coronavirus is from the lab leak? You know, while we're on the subject of 2020, let's talk about the election that year. Looking back, do you believe that there was fraud or irregularities in the 2020 election? You brought up that fateful day. Let's talk about January 6th. A lot of people were critical of you that day. They said that you didn't do enough before certifying those election results. If you could do that day over again, would you have done anything differently? You're doing everything somebody about to announce a presidential run would do. So, Mr. Vice President, I have to ask you today, are you running for president in 2024? Ron DeSantis, he's rumored to announce his campaign for president around May or June. Does that timeline sound like something that you would consider for the announcement of whether or not you're running? In your mind, who is a Mike Pence voter? We brought up your former boss. He's already announced his run for president. Would you endorse Donald Trump if he's the GOP nominee? There's been some short lists reported in the press that President Trump may be considering him as his VP nominee. There's also been some reporting that he's considering announcing his running mate fairly early in the process here. Do you have any advice for Trump's running mates, whoever he or she might be?
So we move on from Mike Pence to our second candidate, Tim Scott, Senator from South Carolina. In his exploratory bid for the presidency, which he announced this week, Faith in America, what does he want to project in terms of leadership, and who are the boogeymen among those radical liberals?
On this day, April 12, 1861, in this harbor, the first shots of the Civil War were fired, and our country faced the defining moment. Would we truly be one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. America's soul was put to the test, and we prevailed. Today, our country is once again being tested. Once again, our divisions run deep, and the threat to our future is real. Joe Biden and the radical left have chosen a culture of grievance over greatness. They're promoting victimhood instead of personal responsibility, and they're indoctrinating our children to believe we live in an evil country. And all too often, when they get called out for their failures, they weaponize race to divide us, to hold on to their power. When I fought back against their liberal agenda, they called me a prop, a token, because I disrupt their narrative. I threaten their control. They know the truth of my life disproves their lies. See, I was raised by a single mother in poverty. The spoons in our apartment were plastic, not silver, but we had faith. We put in the work, and we had an unwavering belief that we too could live the American dream. I know America is a land of opportunity, not a land of oppression. I know it because I've lived it. That's why it pains my soul to see the Biden liberals attacking every rung of the ladder that helped me climb. If the radical left gets their way, millions more families will be trapped in failing schools, crime-ridden neighborhoods, and crushing inflation. Not on my watch. This is personal to me. I will never back down in defense of the conservative values that make America exceptional. And that's why I'm announcing my exploratory committee for President of the United States. I will defend the Judeo-Christian foundation our nation is built on and protect our religious liberty. I will stand up to communist China and restore opportunities for hardworking Americans to thrive and prosper. I will fight to give every parent a choice in education so their children have a better chance in life. I will defend our borders and our neighborhood streets, and I will protect our most fundamental right, the right to life itself. I bear witness that America can do for anyone what she has done for me, but we must rise up to the challenges of our time. This is a fight we must win, and that will take faith. Faith in God, faith in each other, and faith in America. God bless our United States of America, and God bless you.
So now we move from Fort Sumter, the site of Tim Scott's announcement, to someone else from South Carolina, former governor and Trump cabinet member, Nikki Haley. How is she trying to create her own niche in what she calls Stand for America?
The railroad tracks divided the town by race. I was the proud daughter of Indian immigrants. Not black, not white. I was different. But my mom would always say your job is not to focus on the differences, but the similarities. And my parents reminded me and my siblings every day how blessed we were to live in America. Some look at our past as evidence that America's founding principles are bad. They say the promise of freedom is just made up. Some think our ideas are not just wrong, but racist and evil. Nothing could be further from the truth. I have seen evil. In China, they commit genocide. In Iran, they murder their own people for challenging the government. And when a woman tells you about watching soldiers throw her baby into a fire, it puts things in perspective. Even on our worst day, we are blessed to live in America. I was born and raised in South Carolina, so I have seen the very best of our country. People here threw out the old, tired political establishment and demanded accountability for their tax dollars. Industry reports called us the beast of the Southeast, which I loved. People came by the thousands for fresh starts. Moms and dads held their heads up high. Children learned that it was always
It's a great day in South Carolina. It's a great day.
It's a great day. A great day. A great day in South Carolina. We were strong. We were proud. And when evil did come,
police in South Carolina are looking for a gunman following a shooting at a church.
Several victims. We don't know the severity.
we turned away from fear toward God and the values that still make our country the freest and greatest in the world. We must turn in that direction again. Republicans have lost the popular vote in 7 out of the last 8 presidential elections. That has to change. Joe Biden's record is abysmal, but that shouldn't come as a surprise. The Washington establishment has failed us over and over and over again. It's time for a new generation of leadership to rediscover fiscal responsibility, secure our border, and strengthen our country, our pride, and our purpose. Some people look at America and see vulnerability. The socialist left sees an opportunity to rewrite history. China and Russia are on the march. They all think we can be bullied, kicked around. You should know this about me. I don't put up with bullies. And when you kick back, it hurts them more if you're wearing heels. I'm Nikki Haley, and I'm running for president.
Notice, before we go to Governor Asa Hutchinson, that Nikki Haley indicates she doesn't put up with bullies, yet at the same time, she was working for Donald Trump. Which brings us now to the former 2-term governor of Arkansas. Can Asa Hutchinson, a Reagan Republican, low-key, survive in an overheated rhetoric cycle, such as campaign 2024? This is an interview he recently conducted with Bloomberg discussing his candidacy.
Do you feel like a Republican without a home? Where does a centrist establishment Republican like yourself fall into this conversation, or do you not like to be framed that way?
Well, I like to frame myself as a consistent conservative. I've been in this battle a lot longer than Donald Trump ever has. And my record in Congress, where we balanced the budget when I was there, to governor, where we created a surplus, balanced the budget, controlled spending. So that's what I want to talk about. In terms of the Republican Party and where it goes, I think we've always had, our cultural conservatives. We've had our defense conservatives. We've had our economic conservatives. The key to winning is bringing those together. And I can do that. That's an important part of the message. And we're all in the same boat together, trying to build an optimistic future for America that draws on the best of our country and doesn't appeal to our worst instincts. And I believe in the future of this country. And we've got challenges with China. We've got challenges with Russia. And we need to have somebody that can lead and that can have a strong America that understands that we keep peace through the strength that we present in this country.
Governor, there's one issue that Republicans are having difficulties with in terms of their messaging. Many say the midterms were lost on this. We just saw a seat in Wisconsin judiciary because of this, and that is abortion. And even the RNC chairwoman says that we have a messaging problem when it comes to abortion, and potentially this is going to be a massive 2024 issue. I want to quickly get your take on what happened in Texas with the federal judge. In Washington, this is a debate on whether or not the FDA should just ignore that ruling. Do you think the FDA should? They have the authority to.
Well, generally, we give regard to court rulings, but this is in dispute. You've got 2 federal rulings that are in conflict. I expect that this will ultimately reach the United States Supreme Court, and they will resolve that. But in the meantime, you have each state having different rules that reflect their culture, their democracy, their legislature. Arkansas has a very pro-life position. You've got other states that do not. And so we're going to have to resolve this right now state by state, and that's the flexibility that I think our founding fathers designed for us. We also have to show compassion. We have to make sure that we have sufficient maternal health care and support for them. We have to have good adoption services. And those are important messages that we as Republicans and as Americans should have. So it's a divisive issue, but right now, the answer is let's talk about the right exceptions. Which I support the exceptions for life of the mother and for the exceptions of rape and incest. And whenever you have those exceptions in place and each state being able to resolve their own issues, then it's a fight within the legislature. And I think that's where we'll be in 2024.
Former Arkansas Governor Asa Hutchinson, thank you so much for joining us. We look forward to continuing this conversation as you gear up to formally announce your bid in just 2 weeks.
As we wrap up our presentation, consider those 4 candidates: Mike Pence, Tim Scott, Nikki Haley, Asa Hutchinson. Do their presidential campaigns have legs, or will they end in the snows of Iowa and New Hampshire? Stay tuned. That concludes my presentation on Campaign 2024. Thanks for watching.